This episode of the Party Loaded podcast is proudly sponsored by Audible.com. Check out their awesome catalogue of audiobooks with over 180,000 titles to choose from. And be sure to grab a free audiobook on us and support the show by visiting audibletrial.com/endgame.
Let's party.
Welcome back to Party Loaded. This is episode 13 for Wednesday, the 17th of February. I'm Luke Retallick, and joining me, as usual, is Imogen the Studious. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Hi, guys.
Yeah. We got Olly the Salty.
Hello, I'm not salty. I'm sweet today because I'm full of sugar.
That's fair. And we got Jam the Jammy.
That was terrible.
That'll do.
Hello. I was wondering what you were going to say.
Oh, so many things running through my mind, none of which are appropriate for the... All right, so this is your source for video game immersion in audio form, Party Loaded, and video games. Despite the fact that we are only partway into February, there's a bunch of stuff that's been out and happening already this month. I think I've actually probably had one of my busiest periods of playing games I can remember in a while. And I've not finished anything yet.
That must be killing you.
It is killing me big time. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about what we've been playing lately, and who wants to jump in first?
I think it's probably me, and I think it's probably apt because I haven't played a lot.
No.
So I started off still studying for those keeping up at home. So I played some Heroes of the Storm with the guys, which was fun. It was like really quick session. I think we only played for a couple of hours. And I had a go at the new character, Li Ming, and she is amazing.
You tore it up with her.
I exploded. So we played with a group of friends, and I was recommended to sort of go down a path and choose an ability when you reach level 20, which is called Arc On, which effectively just turns her into a blowtorch that you point at things and they disintegrate. And I have never had so much fun blowing up things in my entire life. It was great. You guys just distracted the rest of the enemy over doing whatever, and I just pointed myself directly at the core. Job done.
Yeah.
It was great.
It was ludicrously
and well
fast.
worth the 15,000 gold.
No, it's good.
Even though the second I said, yeah, should I do this? I don't know. Maybe I will. Yeah, no one else has grabbed her. Yeah, I'll get it, blah, blah, blah. And then the second after it said, thank you for your purchase, you pipe up Luke saying, well, I should probably go down to 10 in a week or so. So thanks for that.
I thought it was common knowledge. Mate, what they usually do with new characters on Hero of the Storm is that they have the monetary price for them on release is always the same. And the gold price is usually 15,000 and then goes down to about 10,000 after a couple of weeks of release. How long it takes varies. I think it has been 2 weeks before. It has been a month before. I don't know if there's a set formula, but I mean, because the gold price starts higher, they obviously want to encourage people to spend money instead of gold to get it. Yeah.
And I've been saving my gold up for when I got my Valor character to level 10. Seems like I've been trying to do that for a very long time now, and it feels like by the time I actually get it to level 10 I'll probably be back up to 10,000 gold. So it takes quite a while. If you haven't played Heroes of the Storm, you can do sort of daily quests. You get one a day and you usually get about 200, maybe 300 gold. You get 10 gold from each match that you complete or so. So it does take a while to build up to the lofty heights of 15,000, but I do not regret my purchase. My only regret is that we only played that one time.
Yeah.
And I haven't sort of spent more time in perfecting her build yet. But even though I thoroughly, and Dem and I have had a conversation about this, her armor is ridiculous and her alternate skin is like a Candy Crush star princess thing, which is not me at all.
What was the name of this character? I want to see what
Li
this looks
Ming,
like. Hold on.
L-I, and then Ming, M-I-N-G.
She's the wizard character from Diablo 2.
Magic missile.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is badass, and I really enjoyed that. It was sort of good games. We only played against the computer because we waited a very long time to play against people, and then decided not to. Also had some fun with Jam playing Cho'Gall because we were both fairly brain dead.
Okay, so I just googled that, and I shit you not, there is already porn.
I
wish I was making this up. I genuinely wish.
See, we can go back to our pre-podcast conversation about the importance of private browsing.
No, don't type that in. That'll get you a whole other kind of private browsing.
Yeah.
I am disappointed.
Yeah. I finally worked out who Li Ming reminds me of. Like the character looked like something that I couldn't quite place, and I just worked it out. Do you remember that weird sorceress character in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers? Like one of the bad guys?
Yes, I do know what you're talking about.
Exactly like her, yeah. Apart from the weird horns on her head.
From what I've seen, not naked and doing very inappropriate things.
No, the one in Power Rangers was dressed more like an evil nun, I think.
Yeah, she was. And she, side note, in the new Power Rangers movie that's being developed, they have cast that role. So
really?
We do get to see her in her full glory in the Power Rangers movie, yeah.
I can't remember her name. That's going to bug me. I'm going to have to look that up later. Yeah,
you have to look it up. Yeah. So, that was fun. And playing Cho'Gall with Jamie is always hilarious because... we played, I think, 2 or 3 games, and Jam dropped off, and so I started playing my own characters, and I think it was a full sort of minute, maybe 2 minutes before I was like, why aren't I going anywhere? Because I get so used to playing without having to move. But that was great fun and sort of good way to sort of waste some time. And then I actually handed in an assignment on Tuesday, woo! And after that, treated myself to buying the new game, Firewatch, which is so good. I am enjoying it thoroughly. It gives you lots of different choices, and I guess you guys will have had different experiences. I've only played a couple of hours at this point, but I'm at day 72 or 76 or something like that. And I think it's from speaking to you guys, I think, Luke, you must have played for around the same amount of actual time, but you are nowhere near that day level.
Not necessarily. Look, I think we should maybe depart from the norm for this one and maybe just all talk about it together, because otherwise we're going to be getting into it separately.
Agreed.
For each of us. So the reason why it probably looks like I played like a lot longer than I actually did is because I fell asleep on my keyboard last night while the game was loaded. So.
Wow, cheater. You're trying to make yourself look good to all of our adoring fans in our Steam group, aren't you?
No. Did you get that idea by looking at my game time on Steam?
Yeah.
So,
do you just regularly just fall asleep on stuff?
Well, no. And it's
Luke had keyboard face this morning.
No. It's no indication of how engaging the game was, because I was really loving it as well. I was just knackered last night. I have
no idea how you can fall asleep at your computer.
Oh, it's really easy. It's not particularly comfortable, but it's really easy. And it doesn't last long. Like, I usually get about 90 minutes worth of REM in, and then something wakes me up and I go back to bed. I go to bed.
90 minutes? You can sleep at your desk for 90 minutes?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
You are a vampire.
Anyway, it usually gives me my second
by
wind.
bed, he means coffin.
Well, we can talk about Firewatch in more detail, but that was a really great way to sort of reward myself, I think, yesterday evening. So that's it from me, because I had no time.
So no Tomb Raider this week. Sad face.
No, Lara has been neglected. She's going to be so grumpy at me.
Mm-hmm.
What, for not getting her killed?
We all know that. Am I right, gentlemen?
Sure. Now, thanks to Olly, we also know that the name of that character from Power Rangers was Rita Repulsa.
That's actually a really fucking cool name for a character.
I never would have remembered that. I just always knew her as that stupid Power Ranger hag. So...
Wow.
I don't think I actually knew her name when I watched the show. Anyway, we all know that Power Rangers is a poor man's Voltron. Anyway, so cool.
Ooh, controversial.
Shots fired.
Yeah.
It's true. All right. Jam, you played some GTA during the week, didn't you? Did you get in on the Valentine's Day stuff?
I did. I checked it out some. It's got some new outfits. Very skanky.
You murdered the shit out of me.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I did. Oh, yeah, we dominated. So there's a new adversary mode. I think it was called till death do us part.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yep. I read up a bit on this one.
Yeah, it's so funny. You go in as pairs and you face off, and if one of you dies, both of you die. But if
don't you get one life between you first?
Yeah, it's one life between two characters.
One life between you. But if you stay in close proximity to one another, there's a little coloured blip around your area around your blip. A zone, indeed, a zone. You can actually regenerate health if you are close enough. So you're kind of moving around this little map, very close together, but at the same time trying to outsmart your foes. I think we were at a disadvantage to truly test the game type out because we only had 4 of us online, and my team dominated. So it was fun, but I can't wait till a bunch of us get on to play it because I think it'll be fantastic.
I think the most brutal thing about that game mode, and as I discovered very quickly when my teammate died in a few seconds, is when you lose, you shoot yourself in the head if you're still one of the people alive.
Nice.
And that is horrifying to watch for everyone.
Whoa.
Like, you just put a pistol to your head and you go, yep, boom, gone.
I can't live.
Yeah.
It's kind of cute because it's part of the Valentine's release, so it's about couples
Adorable.
staying together.
You always want someone who shoots
This
himself
just
in
in,
the face.
Jamie finds suicide adorable.
No.
Send all your weird fetishes to Party Loaded.
Jam at Party Loaded Show.
Yep.
Gross.
Yeah.
Ollie's always got to take it too far. Good one.
That's what I do.
Kiss of death.
So yeah, it was fun. I didn't get to play as long as I'd hoped. I played a lots of bits and pieces in the last week, but nothing phenomenal. A little bit of HOTS, a little bit of Secret World, some Crypt of the Necrodancer, a teeny bit more of Unravel.
I'm surprised you've not finished that game by now. You were so hard into that.
I've had such a big week. I picked it up thinking, I'll play some, and less than 5 minutes later, someone needed me for something, and that was it. Probably the biggest gaming session I got in over the last week was with Rocket League, and their new maps and game modes, because I hadn't tried out a bunch of them. Oh my god, it was so much fun. I played the one with the hockey park, and the new maps, some of them remind me of, I can't remember the name of the game now, Tag Pro. Some of the Tag Pro stuff. So cool.
They mentioned recently that they're actually reviewing the max player cap for Rocket League matches because it's 4v4 is the max at the moment. So they might actually be increasing that if...
oh, God, that's been horrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, 4 to me seems crowded. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was amazing fun. We were playing, I think, 3v3 at most, but it was just incredible. Some of the ways you can change the dynamic of the ball in the game I didn't know about because I hadn't played too many variations before. It was hilarious, making it super fast or super bouncy or really incredibly slow. Oh my god, so frustrating. And the only other thing I played this week... So after last week, I mentioned my witness progress and how I was super stuck and there were a couple of puzzles. I was like, these are impossible. It can't be possible. So I jumped back on, and less than 5 minutes later, I finished the game.
Yeah.
That was hilarious to listen to.
I know, because I was on Mumble and I'm like, this is crap. You can't possibly finish this puzzle. There's no way you can... That was
I
it.
finished the game. There's a cutscene playing.
And then I get to the next thing and I draw a couple of lines and, crap.
To be fair, there's a lot of moments like that in the game, like where you walk away for 5 minutes, you come back and you're just like, why didn't I even notice that before?
That's what I've done at every point. I'd essentially not spend more than a couple of minutes, really, except for maybe once or twice, trying to get any particular puzzle. If I'm stuck or I don't get it too quickly, I walk away, go do some others, come back, and my subconscious, which is far smarter than my conscious, is, here you go. There's the answer. That's what you do, you idiot. So it was surprising. It's not 100%ed. There are still some puzzles there that I have not solved.
Now, it gave you a number at the end of the number of puzzles you completed.
Well, the load file did. So in the save that I could load that had saved immediately prior, I think, to me finishing the game. I believe it said 430.
So you can go back to that save file?
Yeah.
You can. So you can literally sort of rewind a few minutes from the end of the game and go and complete more puzzles.
Thank God for that, because I didn't want to have to do it all again to try and get my 100% completion.
But it only shows you the number after you finish the game, is that right?
No. If you hit escape during the game, there'll be a series of save files that you can restore.
Ah.
Yeah, and they start, I'm assuming that this is what it is. They start with a number that appears to be the number of puzzles you've solved, because as I looked through the files, they were getting progressively larger. And there's supposed to be over 600 puzzles in the game, and mine said 400 something. So
holy moly!
I'm shocked that there are that many. But if I consider, all of the little symbols on the black pillars, if they're each a separate puzzle, that goes somewhat towards explaining it.
I don't think they are.
I think they might count.
Spoilers.
Because I'm being vague. I'm being as vague as I can.
Really?
I will ask you one question that doesn't require you to really give a spoiler at all. I want to ask you, when you got to the end of the game, was the ending satisfying?
No.
That's a no.
Okay.
No.
Was it not satisfying because of the unfinished business that you left behind, or because the ending itself in how it was crafted was not satisfying?
Both.
Okay. All right. Cool.
I suspect, and I'm curious that they may be connected.
I have heard that there are multiple endings. I don't know how accurate that is.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so, because mine was a bit
It does seem like the sort of game that would cater well for that.
Yeah, it definitely would. It's interesting. It's got some very profound messages, surprisingly. The things under the windmill are kind of cool in that sense. But yeah, I'm going to go back and play it some more. But now that I've, finished that one playthrough, it may be put on the back burner for a little while as I address, other games.
Yeah.
But yeah, good stuff. And that was my week.
Cool. Well, mine has been mostly XCOM 2, if I'm being honest. So still really enjoying that game. A few additional observations since we talked about it last week. There's been some good stuff and some bad stuff. Some bad stuff is that I've noticed the game has a few issues when certain events happen. And I don't know if you've picked this up, Ollie, but if you ever have an evac point on the roof of a building and for some reason that roof gets destroyed by like a grenade blast or something like that, you are shit out of luck.
Well, yes.
Yep. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it was not good. Like I had to load a previous game save because there literally was no way I could see to finish the mission, which seems like a bit of a broken feature to me. So yeah, you can't even lose it. You just can't get out of it unless there's a countdown on and the countdown gets to 0, and then I guess you'd lose it. But on the instance that it happened for me, there was no countdown at the time, so that was a little bit frustrating. But
yeah, it should just default, in my opinion, it should just default to the ground afterwards.
Yeah,
or the rubble, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. But I'm up to the point now where like I've got a whole bunch of upgrades that are really changing the way that I approach each mission and sort of going in a lot more tactically with different skills across the different characters, and a lot of additional actions and free shots and things like that, which they can generate, which is really, really cool. My sort of wall of honor of fallen heroes is up to 6 Imogens now.
Wow.
And nothing else. So
yay!
Yeah, you're covering a fair bit of real estate down there at the moment. But Imogen number 7's kicking ass. So
woo! 7's my lucky number. Yeah.
That's right. So yeah, doing good. You've got like a massively sort of broad explosion grenade shot at the moment, and you're basically just hanging back and launching death from afar. So yeah.
I am now leaming in XCOM 2.
Pretty much. Actually, that's a fairly close one. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. Jam, you've become not dead, but hideously scarred.
Woo!
Like hideously.
That adds character, right?
PTSD, Jam.
A lot of character.
That's willpower.
A lot of character. And Ollie, you're now my close combat specialist. You have chopped down more fools in close combat than anybody I've come close to in my team. So Yeah, which is funny.
Helping.
Your usual MO is basically getting lassoed by a viper and having someone shoot the viper to get you released, and then you're right next to it and you cut it in half. That's happened so many times now.
This is acceptable to me.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool. It's been really fun. I think I'm probably up to about the last quarter of the game now because there's some pretty big stuff that's happened and a lot more of the story has fleshed out. The plot is totally ridiculous. Don't get me wrong. Like, the story beats are just insane. I think you have to forgive a certain amount of it because of the wackiness of the game. But it's really, really cool. I'm enjoying it a lot. Only a little bit of Hearthstone this week. I have done a fair bit on my second account, though. Moving on.
It makes no sense. Just keep throwing that money down the well, Luke. See if a wish comes out.
I have not spent a single cent on the second account. Just only
but you've
time.
spent so much time.
Yeah.
And time is money, etc.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you, Olly.
Got to learn to value your time, Luke.
I finished all the quests on my main account, so I went looking for more. That's all that happened.
Just get that buzz.
Yeah, pretty much.
Need that dust.
And last night decided to pick up Firewatch as well because I was kind of like, I feel like a new game because, I haven't had any new games this week.
And you've already got a second Hearthstone account.
Pretty much. So, yeah, this was my hit for the week. Firewatch is really cool. I've been enjoying it a lot. I'm nowhere near as far as you guys, though I don't think. But, some interesting things. I instantly recognised the main voice actor of Henry as soon as I heard it, which is Rich Sommer, of course, of Mad Men fame. And he's also a very keen board gamer and has his own board game podcast as well. I don't know if you guys have heard that before.
I did not know that. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, he's done a bit of stuff with Tom Vassell over at the Dice Tower. And I think he's been on Tabletop before, Will Wheaton's web show.
Yeah, he has.
Yeah. But no, he is massively into board gaming, like massive board game hobbyist. And I think in general, he's just trying to do as much stuff in the games industry as he possibly can.
He's got a great voice.
Yeah, he does. No, it fits the role really well. I think it's quite cool. The game's great. Like, story-wise, I don't think I'm far enough in to really be able to spoil much. And I think the only stuff I really know about the game to this point is the stuff that's kind of known by anybody who reads the brief blurbs on it. So you're basically playing, for lack of a better description, like a park ranger. And you are based up in like a wooden tower, sort of overseeing your area of the forest. And most of the dialogue of the game sort of takes place over a walkie-talkie between yourself and another lady at sort of your home base. Delilah, that's her name, yeah. Like the narrative options for the game are kind of cool. Like you sort of, sometimes you can just not reply to things that she says as well. And if you don't reply within a certain amount of time, then she kind of, takes that as you being quiet or not responding to something she said and acts accordingly, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I've already had her get really mad at me.
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah, no, it's awesome.
She got mad.
And even like at the very, very start of the game, like the narrative that you go through that sort of sets up the character and why he is doing what he's doing. I thought was really interesting.
It's hardcore, straight up. You have to make a lot of very large life decisions.
That's it. I'm very
choices.
I'm very curious as to how the different choices play out in the main game. I'm tempted to go back and choose a few things differently so I can see if there's any immediate impact or whether it's stuff that happens later on. So.
I think it's like a character build. So they're trying to ascertain like how you would react to things, and that will limit your response options later on in the game to different circumstances.
It raises an interesting question, and I've sort of felt this way a lot about games with narrative dialogue tree options. I sometimes think a lot of people expect, because there's choice involved, that you make a choice and it actually changes something about the game later on. But I'm beginning to think more and more that there's a lot of games that the only thing that changes with the different choices you make on the dialogue tree is how you experience the dialogue in the game, and therefore how you experience the game. That could literally be it.
The term you are looking for, Luke, is invisible railroads.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But in a way, that's all that. Essentially, if you're going to build a game like this, you still have to make it, doable and not a monster to create. You don't want to create sort of too many multiple branches. So in the end, as long as they can provide you with that experience and still have a solid game path that they know they can follow, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, I don't think so.
I think with Firewatch, what they're trying to do is just personalize your character a bit more because you don't really see the character and what. It's your chance to put your impressions of the character onto it and personalize and make it your own. I think that's more what it's trying to achieve rather than branching plot points and like references later in the game sort of thing.
Yeah, that could be true. Speaking of seeing the character, one thing I've noticed, and I don't know if you guys share my thoughts on this, but you can kind of see a little bit of the character, even though it's a first-person sort of perspective.
He's got legs, yay!
Yeah, he's got legs and hands. And if you look down, you can kind of see them. Have you guys tried looking down at your feet and then like moving around in a circle and seeing how weird it looks?
No. I did notice
as
that.
Weird as in real life.
Oh man,
Yeah.
it looks bizarre. It looks like he's doing this sort of weird, sort of disabled shuffle, like he's doing this strange kind of munted dance. It's really bizarre. You got to try it next time you play the game.
Sure.
Interestingly enough, I wasn't sure at one point very early on in the game. I was like, well, I want to pick up my backpack, but where's my backpack gone? And then I was online and I was talking to someone over Mumble at the time, and I looked down and went, oh, I have legs. And then I saw the strap from the backpack around me. And then I was like, that's interesting. So the next time that I saw it sort of not on me, like sitting on a chair, I looked down and the strap's not there. So that's how you tell if you've got your backpack on or not. I think that's genius.
Oh, nice. That's interesting. I've seen a few things recently, and I think GameSpot had an article about this. I think it was GameSpot, where they actually recommend that one of the ways to play the game that you should try out is when you use the map in game, because a lot of the game sort of takes place with you walking around in the forest, and you can actually see the marker on the map where you are.
Painful to listen to.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys just while we talk, we'll go back to your point, Luke, but let's just point out how great I am at directions in Minecraft, and then imagine Ollie having to listen to me over Mumble, trying to direct myself using a compass and a map.
I can picture it.
Painful.
That does not sound like a fun thing.
Painful.
I spent so long in this one area. I was like, and Ollie's like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm here. And he's like, that's okay. I've been there. That's fine. You will find a way. Like, there will be a way for you to figure this out. And I was like, there's not. I go down this rope and then there's nowhere to go. I can't jump off anything. There's no more other things. And so I walked around for ages and I did these loops and loops and loops and trying to get around this one area until I went back the final time and like rage tried to jump off the edge of this cliff and turned around and saw the second anchor point for another piece of rope.
Oh, it's so bad.
It was just kind of like, oh my god, and everyone's like, what? I was like, no, it's fine.
It's no big deal.
It's like
no
one
big deal.
of
I
those
just
puzzles in The
found
Witness. If you were 3 years old. Yeah.
Sorry, you're using the map. Sorry, Luke.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, so you use the map to navigate, and you can, by default, actually see a marker on the map which pinpoints where you are. And so this particular article was referencing how they thought that the game was a lot more enjoyable and a lot more immersive if you turned that feature off, because it's actually a toggleable feature, which kind of forces you to pay more attention to your landmarks and sort of navigate around visually rather than just using the marker. Which I haven't done that yet, but that does make a great deal of sense to me, so I might give that a go. Yeah.
I got told that, and so initially that's what I did yesterday. And so that's when Ollie was like, Imogen, just use the map. I cannot stress this enough. The map is important. So then I turned it back on. And then it was a lot easier to figure out where the hell I was.
Well, given what you just said, you might need the training wheels on.
Yeah, I need all of the training wheels. I've got the hang of it now, and I've covered most of the map by accident. So, and whenever I open those caches, copy map.
Yeah.
Quickly write down all the trails. So yeah, that's been easier. But the topography in the map as well is really true. So I've looked at sort of a way to get somewhere and gone, but that's a cliff face, or that's a this, that, and the other. And when you discover sort of areas of the track that need to be cleared and things like that, that starts to get marked on your map. It's really good. It's stunningly beautiful.
Oh, and visually it's awesome. Yeah.
At one point you get a little disposable camera. Just sort of stood there for ages, like looking for nice vistas to take a photo.
Well, apparently you can take photos in game, and the developers will actually produce them as real physical photos for you.
Really?
Yeah. There was something up about that during the week. And there's a way to export them as desktops for your computer and things like that.
Oh, excellent! I'm on that.
Yeah.
I will spend an entire session going around. There was some. It's really very well done. It's not super realistic, like it's not.
Well, graphically, it reminds me a lot of The Witness, actually. very similar.
It's that kind of cell shading-esque.
Can I just go back to the exporting the camera thing pictures? Have you guys never heard of the print screen function?
Yeah,
obviously, but it's different. This is, basically customized, suitable for your preferred screen resolutions without having to do that editing yourself. Because for us that's not hard, but not everybody who owns a computer and plays video games knows how to even do basic image manipulation.
So finding a file, exporting a file, getting it to developer with title and copying and pasting it into Word and printing it.
Man, I work with a lot of stupid people who use computers. I can tell you categorically, there are a lot of people out there who would not know how to do that.
Well, then they don't deserve pretty pictures.
I agree, but it still remains true.
I've worked with
someone people listening.
I've worked with someone who, no word of a lie, and this was in IT mind. I said to them, if there's an issue with it, just print the screen. And like, how do you do that? I was like, well, you press the print screen button there on your keyboard. Oh, is that what that does? Shit, you not.
Did you immediately go, you're fired, or I'm working somewhere else?
I did not have that power. So the print screen, the screen capture thing, I think is something. It's a nice for them to do kind of thing, as well as I'm sure they can probably, rather than it being the thing that you take with your little disposable camera or a screenshot or whatever, they might be able to do something a bit fancier with it. I don't know, but it's,
Ollie, the feature I was talking about, though, is like actual real-life photos. Like they'll send you a physically printed, high-quality copy of your shot. Yeah.
If only Officeworks existed or printers existed in-house.
Not even Officeworks, Target.
yeah. That's a local solution for us, though. Not everybody has something like that available. So
everybody has a Target, Luke. Everybody has a Target.
Yeah. Well, anyway. But yeah, no, cool game. I think that the major complaint that's been leveled at it by folk online has been the brevity of the game. But honestly, that was a selling point for me because I have a lot of unfinished business, and having something I can get through in around 3 or 4 odd hours actually appealed. So
yeah, and that's when I was playing. I was really conscious of how, whether I was playing it in a way that was drawing it out, or was I playing it in a way that I was running through it and I was going to finish it at any moment. And I don't know, I kind of feel like I'm not that far off. I don't know, there's still a big piece to go. But anyway, we haven't even covered what Ollie played this week.
Yeah.
Yes, what about me?
Yeah.
I played Firewatch, and I like it so far. Can I just say, I just looked up the photo thing. And very cool little fact, the little envelope they send it to you in is the same brand as the camera that you pick up in the game.
Oh, nice.
Wow. That's so clever. Smart.
And it is kind of cool, but again, screen capture exists. So I played Firewatch. By far for me, my most favorite thing with that game is the dialogue. The dialogue for me has been some of the best game dialogue I've ever gone through, and that's including BioWare games. Sorry, BioWare.
Ooh. Yeah, it's amazing, and that's the one thing you said to me last night was just if you get a chance to use the radio, just radio everything, report everything, because any conversation is really where this game shines.
The dialogue seems a lot less scripted and a lot more real than a lot of the BioWare games.
It feels natural.
Yeah.
It's not, by the way, did you see this column in the ground over there? This might be a little spoiler, Imogen. I'm sorry.
Spoilers!
One of the things you find is like an old outhouse, and you can report it, and he goes, it's in the middle, but it's just an outhouse in the middle of nowhere. And the reply from Delilah is, yes, you're in the wilderness. Everything is in the middle of nowhere. Get used to it. I'm like, yes, that is brilliant.
No, my favorite was it's not spoilers. There's a point where you can test an echo of a cave.
Yeah.
The character sings The Rains Down in Africa, and it was just like, yes, that was the best. This is just this game understands me. This game is life.
Anyway.
And I also like that whenever you pick anything up, you just throw it back. Like if it's not something that you can keep, it's just like you can either examine it or drop it. And you don't sort of get to point and say, place this back here. You just kind of let it go.
You do this limp-wristed little throw.
I threw a baseball in that toilet. Yeah.
Oh, really?
God damn it. Anyway, I played GTA. Lots of cool Valentine stuff. got my dick punched in by Jamie and her bro. Or was it Bruce? I can't remember which one. That was great fun. Messed around on that, which is always good. I only played a little bit of XCOM 2. I haven't played super tons because I'm progressively uninstalling games, like clearing out the old PC, ready for the new one sort of thing.
Yep. Any new thoughts on it?
Tiny bit. On XCOM? Yeah, I stand by most of the stuff that I said from last episode. Like, it is just a general improvement on the previous game. I haven't had anyone die yet, so that's always good.
Wow.
So
it gets progressively easier to not have anybody die, I've discovered.
Yes.
Yep.
That's very true. As they get more skilled up and geared up. It's a lot easier to prevent deaths.
Yeah, I don't think the difficulty level of the enemy increases to the same level that you do.
It depends what difficulty you're playing on.
Well, that's true. That is true.
I think I'm playing on one harder than what you are.
I'm
a bit more experienced XCOMer and that style of game.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Secret World. I'm finally catching up to our top end players a bit more, which is nice. So nearly getting there, slowly but surely. So that's being a lot of fun.
Except you're in the wrong bloody faction.
That's kind of hilarious.
Everyone is Illuminati apart from me, who is Templar. And I think one other person is Templar as well.
Illuminati confirmed, except for Olly.
Yeah. Yep, I'm a Templar confirmed. Yeah. And can I just say, I don't know if this is normal for an MMO, but the dialogue, or even for the Illuminati, but the dialogue for the Templars is amazing. Like, there is some genuinely good faction dialogue from, like, your two sort of main quest givers. Yeah. It's some pretty solid stuff. One is basically channeling Judi Dench, and I'm okay with that.
Well, the Illuminati stuff's some guy talking in memes most of the time. It's ridiculous.
I want to get to that spot.
Guy talking in memes. I'm trying to think of who you mean. Is that anyone that you encounter early on?
Have you had to go back to New York for any faction missions?
No. Okay, so it's probably something.
It's when you get your main faction quests and stuff. Yeah, that's about it for me. So cool. That's pretty cool. New PC tomorrow. Very exciting.
Nice.
Hooray.
What game are you going to play first to break it in?
Probably Secret World, I imagine, because that's what other people will be online at the time. And then definitely some GTA on the weekend. Yeah, I want to see that in all its pretty gloriness. And then I might become one of those dirty modders, but I'll mod it for the graphics rather than hacking in tanks.
Nice. All right, well, let's dive into some cool gaming news of the week then, and talk about. Let's kick off with Nintendo. So Nintendo fans may remember a few months back. I think it might have even been late last year that Nintendo actually pulled support of their long-standing Club Nintendo sort of rewards program. So there was a bunch of notice given about that. So people actually used to accrue points towards earning rewards and things like that. So they gave people plenty of time to use their remaining points and sort of cash them in for rewards and bits and pieces. But now they have launched a new system. So basically, they've got a new multi-platform account system, which is called just your Nintendo account, essentially. And that's going to be what is replacing what was there before. So, Ollie, was there anything that you've played Nintendo-wise that has seen any links into like an ongoing rewards program or an account system?
Whoa. I just have a Wii U. I'm not a Nintendo expert. Question mark? I have no idea. I have played Super Mario Maker and old school Nintendo games. I have not really tinkered around with the Miiverse stuff at all. Okay. Apart from making a Mii.
Right. All right.
So I will shrug my shoulders, but I shall do so verbally and go,
Well, there's not a lot that users can do on it yet. They're probably going to use it for things that they release in future. The rewards program they're looking to launch apparently is going to be called something called My Nintendo.
And it's probably Me Nintendo.
Possibly.
If it's anything like the Miiverse.
And Miyotomo,
yeah,
Miyotomo.
Possibly. Yeah. But you can head over and register for an account at the company's website now, and you can link it to the various different social medias that you have, so that's something at least. Fallout 4. We actually got some news about Fallout 4 this week. So
I remember that game.
Yeah, I may get back to that at some point.
Yeah,
me too.
One day.
So who's excited for some new content for Fallout 4?
Yes.
So, Ollie, I think you're the only person...
I'm splitting the desk.
Guy.
You're the only one out of all of us that is actually up to needing new content, I think.
Yep.
Yep. So...
Yeah, it looks cool. So there's one where there's just robots everywhere with a RoboBrain boss, which sounds really cute. And apparently there's lots of modifications. Oh, you can create your own robots. Hells yeah! Then go with my Tony Stark Iron Man suits. There's a
Wait, there are
Wasteland
robots?
Yeah, you can customize robots and stuff. It's amazing.
Cool.
You can then... There's also the inverse of that, where you can capture wasteland animals and train them. So that's pretty cool. From raiders to deathclaws is the thing. So you can tame deathclaws and have them fight each other and stuff. Yes, you can have pets.
Yeah,
Imogen.
that was the first thought. I was like, I can have pets.
You can have a pet deathclaw.
Other than dog meat, of course.
Yes,
Well, yes.
of course.
He's
Dog
more
meat
of a
for
person
life.
than a pet.
He's a companion.
There's a Far Harbor one, apparently, which is just a big chunk add-on with quests, settlements, creatures, dungeons, that sort of thing. Yes, that's my dog whining in the background. Don't know if you could hear that.
Hi, Noodle.
Oi, stop that. And then we've also got... Nope, that's about it. Never mind, I got really excited. And apparently there's just like
Now
minor
I'm
updates and stuff.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the season pass, good time to get it.
Oh.
I don't know.
have that.
I don't know. I still don't know about season passes, whether they're worth it in most cases, especially when... It's like pre-ordering, really. You're not quite sure what you're getting unless they've been really clear and upfront about it. So, I don't know. It depends on the game.
Yeah.
So, other exciting stuff. Jamie, I suspect that you're fairly excited for a little game called Mass Effect this
A
year.
bit.
Mass Effect Andromeda. Maybe
Only
you heard of it?
slightly, completely.
Well, both potentially good and bad news. They've actually just lost one of, if not the lead writer from the game. So
That makes me sad.
Chris Schlurf. So he's actually
Great last name.
jumped ship
Yeah.
and gone over
Brilliant.
to Bungie, who's developing
Boing.
Destiny. So
Maybe Destiny will have good writing now. That'd be nice.
Oh, snap. Shots fired.
well,
Destiny's okay.
there's a Destiny sequel slated for next year. They've confirmed that now. So Destiny 2 in 2017, and they are still doing at least one more expansion this year. So whether he's going to contribute to that or not, I guess, is anyone's guess.
Destiny again.
I will say with our Chris Schlurf guy, I love that name so much. He did finish writing for Andromeda. So all the writing he's done is actually done
Yeah.
for that game. So it's not like he's halfway going, nope, no more story, bye-bye. He's just not continuing after Andromeda.
Yep. So that's possibly good news because that means that they're getting to the point where things are wrapping up and,
Yes.
and stuff's ready for release.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Closer and closer.
Yeah, I don't think it's
Hurry
an alarm bells sort of loss of talent or anything like that. It's more
No.
just a end of project moving on kind of thing. So, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. So yeah, there's that. I think I was a little skeptical as to whether we'd actually see a lot on Andromeda this year, but signs are more and more pointing to yes, we will, which is pretty
hope
cool.
so.
Yeah, which is good.
Can't wait till E3. I'm just hoping there's just phenomenal,
Something.
amazing, awesome announcements, and they turn around and go, oh, and it's out next week. And I know that's not going to happen, but
you can
I
dream.
have
I
that
don't know.
hope.
Bethesda's got a big space. Bethesda do it all the time.
E3 is going to be a big month this year. I think we're going to be looking out for a lot of cool news
Yeah.
updates. Yeah.
I just,
sure.
Yeah, if BioWare took a look at Bethesda and went, oh, that worked well for them. Come on.
Do it.
Do it.
Take a hint.
So, speaking of big things this year, apparently, according to
My pad.
the GameStop CEO, PlayStation VR is coming in this American fall. So,
Yeah, didn't he have the worst day of his career?
yeah.
Whoops.
You want to elaborate?
Yeah, so the GameStop CEO made an announcement that one of the things that they would be releasing this year would be the PlayStation VR, and we'll also be having the PlayStation VR this fall. And then very quickly had to backtrack and say there has been no release date and from PlayStation, and they still look forward to being part of the release when it does come, and they're very excited. So,
We still look forward to being part of the release.
please don't sue us.
Wow.
So it's a bit of a stuff up on his, or maybe not. Maybe this is the new world of viral marketing. There's a lot of people out there saying, "Oh, this is totally staged," just to sort of bring up the hype level. Interestingly enough, comments were made. So I think I might be right, guys. That the PlayStation VR, obviously, there's a lot of hubbub about price after the HoloLens. Not HoloLens, is that correct?
Oculus Rift.
Oculus Rift, thank you. Being priced quite high, especially for us over here in Australia. And the comments that have been made in regards to the PlayStation VR sort of solidified what I'm thinking. And so they said it will be priced as if it was a console in its own right. So I feel like it's going to come as a bundle, and that's the way it's going to come out. So that was interesting for me because not a lot. This is the comment that we made when we had the VR discussion, where I said the best thing about it is that they're not releasing enough for people to be wildly speculating around the place, but they are sort of slipping out little bits and pieces. So was this an on purpose slip up? Who knows? I don't know. Very clever. If it's, they need to find new fancy ways to market things, because kids these days, they just don't care.
They just don't, yeah. Well, even if it was an accurate statement, it's said out of order, and it is coming this fall. That's still a 3-month window, and given that that's still, most of the year away, anything could change between now and then. So I don't think it's...
Yeah, this is fall, obviously, US fall. Otherwise, they'd say autumn, like the rest of the world. But it'll be later in the year, and I don't know. It seems like a fairly major stuff up for a CEO to make. That's the only thing that's ringing sort of alarm bells for me. It's, this guy didn't get to be where he is by spoiling and ruining these types of deadlines. So it was either a very bad day for him or a very clever marketing campaign. And we'll find out which very soon.
Yep. All right, what else? Telltale has released a little bit of a teaser footage for the new Walking Dead Michonne game, which is launching on the 23rd of February, they've confirmed now. So this one's going to be a game, like the standard style Telltale narrative game set within the Walking Dead universe, which they have created. So they're 2 seasons deep into the Walking Dead game. They have confirmed that a 3rd season is coming, so this one's going to be like an in-betweener. So anyone who's familiar with the TV show will know Michonne. She's the African-American sort of samurai sword-wielding chick who walks around in the early stages of her character development with a couple of zombies sort of missing their lower jaws and chained up, which she kind of uses almost like Burley to, to fool the other zombies into thinking that she is, in fact, a zombie herself because she's got that smell around her all the time, just kind of how their thing works. Now, interestingly to me, you 3 aren't really Walking Dead watchers, are you? Like, I don't think any of you watch the show, do you?
I'm a big comic book fan.
Yeah.
I've seen a few seasons. I can't remember exactly where I fell off watching.
Season 2 for me.
But Ollie, you read the comics and not watch the show, is that right?
I tried watching the show, gave up after season 2, which was awful. Yeah. And everyone says, but season 3 is better, and so on. And I went, meh, whatever.
Yeah. Look, honestly, I'm kind of surprised by that. Season 2 is pretty much a sleeper, but everything since then has been really, really good, and it just keeps getting better and better.
Well, for me, having read the comic, I don't need the same story or even a slightly variated story again. Like, I'm happy with just the one.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. I think from what I understand, there's significant differences to the point where you probably would still get a lot of value out of it. But yeah, no, I get that. Yeah.
It's not like, say, Game of Thrones. Because the comic is already a visual medium, you see what the characters are like and all that sort of stuff. It's like Game of Thrones where you have to imagine it.
True.
So Game of Thrones for me is a lot more value because it's a novel, whereas because it's a comic, it's 2 visual mediums, and I'd rather the comic in that point.
And with Game of Thrones, they're setting up a lot more of a broader sort of setting beyond the main sort of story characters too. So yeah, no, I totally get that. So the mid-season premiere for Walking Dead just happened the other night, and holy crap, it is good at the moment. So anyone who's enjoying it, I'm with you. Really, really good.
The only thing this announcement says to me is, hurry up and give me the last episode of Minecraft. Oh, my God.
Yeah. Well, that is a weird one. Like, they were really on point with releasing those one after the other and announcing them sort of, every single month. And then they got to the end of episode 4, one more episode to go, and there hasn't been a peep from them. So I'm just like, what?
They do have a release date, I think, but I think it's March.
I've not seen a single release date. So
someone with the Googles will have to look that up. There is a touted release date for it, but I don't. They were on such a good thing. There was like 2 weeks between episode 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And so that's when I thought, yes, they finally got the message, and I'll jump aboard this train. And then they got me, motherfuckers.
In a narrative sense, they left it at the end of episode 4, and they could have almost wrapped it there. But yeah, I mean, episode 5 is going to have to be pretty significant for it to draw people back in again.
Exactly. Yeah.
After a break. So yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. Now, what's this thing that happened during the week about Lupe?
Well, I think it happened overnight, our time, or even early in the hours of our day. But anyone who knows of the rapper Lupe Fiasco, he is notoriously well known to be quite a big gaming fan, video game fan. He fits a lot of sort of stuff into his lyrics, and a lot of what he does is about, you'll see him at conventions if he can make it and those types of things. He has a massive amount of respect for some of his sort of esport champions, let's say. And we've talked a lot about this. They fill stadiums and they're great. Now, there is one guy who is known as the king of 2D fighting games, and no one can beat this guy. He is just astounding. His name, I am going to pronounce incorrectly, is Daigo Yumihara, and I think that's correct.
That was pretty good.
Hooray. Go me. And there is a video released of Lupe Fiasco playing him at the new Street Fighter 5. No, not new Street Fighter 5. Anyway, they played the game.
It is new. Yep.
Yeah, best of 3, and Lupe Fiasco wins.
First of 3.
Yeah, first of 3. Honestly, there's a lot of people out there saying that it was fake and it was staged and everything else. And if that's the case, Lupe Fiasco needs a movie deal, because that is the most authentic joy reaction I've ever seen to winning a game ever. He is just completely overcome with emotion that he has just beat his, massive big idol in this Street Fighter 5 franchise. So go and find the video and watch it. I don't care if it's fake.
It's adorable.
Brilliant.
It must be a massive in-joke, though, because like an event like that occurring and then, accusations of it being fake and that sort of thing, it must be an in-joke just so they can say how much of a fiasco it is. Seriously.
Boo.
What I was going to say is people that think it's fake obviously don't realize that there's a lot of good gamers out there that don't go into esports. They just play for fun and do it a lot.
Exactly. And Lupe's come out on multiple occasions and said that, he is not bad. Like when people say to him, you play video games, you just do it for fun. No, he is very good. And if you watch the video, he is very, very good. Obviously to beat, someone who has the Twitch reactions of a god, effectively. So,
well, if you think about it, the skill that rappers would have to have in order to be good at their craft is the ability to think and react very, very quickly to what's going on around them. So it's not too much of a stretch, I think.
Yeah, I think that's probably very true. And it honestly warms the heart. Well, go find the video, people. It is well worth a watch.
Yeah. Nice. Well, the other big thing happening at the moment, and it is happening in a few short hours, actually, is we've got the annual DICE Summit, or the Design, Innovate, Communicate and Entertain Summit, which is an annual gathering of video game peeps, which is held in Las Vegas. So this has been going for a while now, originally started in 2002, and it's basically a big conference which is different to a lot of the other ones like E3 and so forth that happen during the year, because the emphasis isn't so much on the retail side or the the promotional engine, the hype train that a lot of the video games have throughout the year. This one's more a conference specializing on the craft. So talking about innovations and some of the latest trends and hot things in the way that video games are designed. So it's a pretty interesting one to watch for people like us, because we get to see some of the key people who are forming the way that the video game industry sort of operates at the moment. Come up and talk about their craft, and some big names attending this year. We've actually got Hideo Kojima is receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award at this year's event, and he'll actually be taking part in the keynote presentation with Guillermo del Toro. So I think it will be, a lot of people will be looking at that reunion and thinking, yeah, it's pretty cool to see them together again after the whole PT was canned, so yep.
Makes Ollie so sad.
Yeah,
It really does.
that's it. They also, of course, have the DICE Awards, which is another series of fairly well-regarded video game awards. Now, without going through all the categories of nominations, because there are quite a few, the DICE Game of the Year this year is going to be a contest between Bloodborne, Fallout 4, Ori and the Blind Forest, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and Witcher 3. So,
Witcher 3.
yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I think it might
Not
be
even a
Witcher 3.
contest.
We'll see if history repeats itself. Yeah. But given the nature of DICE, and they will be looking at different things to what would be, regarded as, say, the Game Awards. So
True, it might.
And
it
The Witcher
might,
3 will win that still.
It's true. It is described as a very pretty game, but that sort of plays in favour of my sort of little pet project of Ori and the Blind Forest.
Have you finished yet, by the way? Did you finish that?
No,
Okay, just putting that out there.
shut up.
another really interesting one, which I would love to see this, and I think Ollie would be there with me. There's going to be a presentation done by Gearbox CEO Randy Pitchford, teaming up with Penn Jillette to chat about some video game related stuff. So
Interesting.
yeah, I think that'd be really cool. I'm a massive Penn and Teller fan. Like, love those guys. Love those guys. So if I was ever in Las Vegas, I would definitely be hitting up their show as a priority.
Oh, yes.
So, and I guess it would be just down the road for them, so not too inconvenient to attend at the end of the day. But yeah, that'll be cool. There's going to be streaming of the entire event sort of taking place at all the usual locations, YouTube, Twitch, most of the main game media sites. So to be able to check out all the cool presentations and stuff that's there. I wouldn't expect a lot of big announcements in terms of things that are coming out this year, but there's probably going to be a fair bit talked about in terms of, notable individuals and projects that they're involved in. So
I don't know. I mean, with Hideo Kojima there, I feel like he has been fairly tight-lipped about what he's doing. He's sort of said a couple of things, so it might be a good platform for him to sort of leak a couple more things about some of the projects that he's up to. That'd
possibly
be cool. Yeah.
I think a lot of that's just going to be early days sort of stuff, though, because he's only just...
Totally, but the guy's all about publicity, and he has sort of ramped it up in the last couple of weeks, so I wouldn't be surprised if... maybe not a huge announcement, but definitely something coming from him at DICE.
Good opportunity.
Here's this artistic thing that I like doing, and conveniently I'm putting in my new game,
Yes.
XYZ.
Yes.
I still want to get a
Concept
T-shirt
art.
with the new Kojima Productions logo on it, because that picture is awesome. That helmeted skull picture that they're using now. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't seen
Look
it
it
yet.
up now by the power of Google.
It is awesome. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, anyway, let's move on to our topic of the week, and this is a fairly timely one given how much of this has been going on lately, or how careful we've had to be with a lot of things we've been discussing on the show lately. So today we're going to talk about spoiling games. So
Spoilers.
yeah. So we should probably preface the entire topic by saying that we may actually talk about games that have particular spoilers in them. So be warned.
Dun, dun, dun.
If any of them get spoiled, this is probably the time that it would happen. So
Should we just
be
put
aware.
a massive disclaimer now going, there are potential spoilers in this section?
Oh, this
Yeah, but
whole
spoilers
episode.
about what?
This
Yeah.
whole episode is a spoiler alert. In fact, that's probably what we're going to call it.
Done.
So-
That was easy.
Yeah,
Spoiler alert.
yeah, exactly. So, all right, now spoiling games, pretty big thing. It's something that we have had to be ultra careful about a lot of the games we've talked about since we even started the show. So, there are some games that don't really matter. Like whenever we talk about Grand Theft Auto Online, or whenever we talk about Crypt of the Necrodancer, or games that I would hesitate at saying it's games that don't have a huge narrative element, because that's not always true. But certainly, some of the games that do have a really big narrative element that is, a significant part of the game, like Undertale or Life is Strange, or,
Firewatch.
Firewatch, great recent example. Ironically, The Witness is probably a really good example of this for totally different reasons. It's not so much the narrative, but more just the stuff in it that you can't afford to talk about because you will wreck it for people. We've had to be ultra careful. So, I don't know about you guys, but I've always sort of felt that our approach has been we kind of need to be able to talk about these games to a certain extent to be able to have enough to dig into of interest, but there's always a line that we try not to cross, and I don't think we always clearly know where that line is, so it's probably worth discussing a little bit.
I think in terms of like what a spoiler would be for me, it is personal. Like, some people don't care if you spoil sort of mundane storylines. So an example was yesterday I was on Mumble when I started playing Firewatch, and Simon was online, and I was like, oh, this thing happened, and he's like, what? And he wanted me to read it. And I was like, well, no, what if you want to play the game? And he's like, well, I'm not going to play the game. Like, so I ended up sort of running through him all the different choices that I made, and then as soon as somebody else came online, I was like, oh, I can't talk about it anymore. So it's one of those things for me. Mundane sort of storyline stuff is enough of a spoiler, especially if it's a narrative-based game. But I don't really. I mean, I don't know. For me, very little takes it to spoil it, and for me, I've had some absolutely catastrophic spoilers. In fact, in the last week and a half, I've just had Fallout 4 spoiled for me.
Oh, really?
Wasn't me, was it?
No, it was in a Rooster Teeth podcast.
Oh, don't tell me.
No, I'm not going to. But it was one of those things that as soon as they start,
all along.
Yeah, I agree with Luke. This has been so difficult. Number one, because we tend to play a lot more games that are different now as a group. So you don't have a group of people necessarily who are on board with you while you play these games, or you are a lot slower than other people to play the game. And then there's also the fact that, we're playing games to talk about them. So then when we come on here, I'm super conscious that if someone really wants to play a game, I don't want to take away why I loved the game. So, and Firewatch is a great example of that. There's some really mundane, simple things in that I just wouldn't spoil for anyone. I would even count, like, yesterday, Olly, and I'm not going to say what it was, but when I got stuck in that level, you're like, oh, you're really close to X. Like, have you done that yet? And I was like, oh, spoiler. But then I got super excited about what it was. got distracted looking for the thing. Yeah. So stuff like that, because you found that, and that was sort of a nice little thing that you got to discover. For me, that's still a spoiler, I guess, but it was a nice part of the game. But there is definitely a length of time where you have to say, okay, that game's been out enough now. And has Fallout 4 been out long enough to spoil the very, very major... I'm not going to say anything. With the very, very, the point of the game, really.
I would actually care a great deal about what Jamie's thoughts are on this, because, I've had so many... Well, no, I've had a lot of conversations with you about spoilers when we're talking about books, because out of all the people I know, I would say that you're probably one of the most, if not the most prolific reader. And you get red hot violent whenever anybody threatens to spoil a book for you. Yeah.
Because, I treasure, I've said it before, I forget details very easily in the games, in the books, in the movies, in the TV shows that I watch and read and all that jazz. But I take so much pleasure in experiencing them for the first time, even those little moments that take you by surprise, that you cherish. I have a very low tolerance for spoilers. I'm trying to be so careful when we talk about some of these games. As you said, The Witness, very little narrative to it. But the joy you get from it is figuring these puzzles out for yourself, understanding the dynamic of what this visual or otherwise clue means and what rule it imposes on the little line you're trying to draw. Like, such simple elements, but the complexity just builds and builds. And I've gotten frustrated and a bit shitty, and I'll walk away and do something else. But that moment that you discover the solution, it's pure joy. It's fantastic. And the same, even the smallest little, moments that might make me giggle when I'm reading a book or watching a TV show that have no effect on the plot, on character development, just the cute little asides that surprise you and evoke just a genuinely, whatever type of reaction it is, whether it's shock or joy. It's wonderful. And every now and then, people get careless or casual and they'll mention something, and it means I'm not going to get to enjoy that moment for myself for the first time.
Yeah.
And it happens, but I try not to do that to anyone else as much as I can, because that's one of the reasons I just love all of these worlds that I get absorbed in.
Yeah. It's really hard when you get excited about something.
Yeah, I know, and you want to talk about it desperately.
Sometimes, Luke. You're like, wait until this happens.
Oh, man.
Spoiler alerts. You're like ads on TV. Like, next week, you'll never believe.
The thing is, though, I'm ultra.
We call him.
I'm ultra conscious of it too. Like I know, and it's just so freaking hard. It is ridiculously difficult.
And then you turn into, and I'm the same. You turn into that annoying person. Like whenever I recommended, for example, the Dresden Files, suddenly, have you read it? Where are you up to? What have you done so far? Have you met this person? Because you want to talk about those moments that you cherish without giving them away if you can, and you just start nagging.
That's hilarious,
yeah,
Jamie, because Jamie's just
Yeah.
described how she is with Robin Hood books to me.
Why haven't you read it? You need to talk to someone about it, and you haven't read it.
You can talk to me about
read
it. I've read them all.
Okay, I've read them all as well.
Yeah.
There you
but
go.
At the time, it was an issue.
Jamie and I have a special history when it comes to Robin Hood books. So Ollie, I suspect that you probably, I'm just going to put it out there, you probably care the least about spoilers out of all of us. So what's your take on it? What do you think is too much detail? Yeah.
So for me, too much detail is like a plot twist, or if a character that's, supposedly dead or is away is coming back sort of thing. That's a fairly big deal. Or anything that is like a branching moment in the plot. So, did you kill this person? No, I killed this person. And this happened instead. Well, no, don't tell me that then. I don't want to know the alternatives, because problem with... No, that's all right. The problem with, say, for example, the branching choice thing is it ruins the illusion of branching choice, as we discussed, because not all branching choices actually have consequences. They're there to give the illusion of consequence. So the invisible railroad syndrome. And by people going, this happened anyway, ruins that illusion somewhat.
Yeah.
So I don't enjoy that. But if it's something like, you get the shotgun on level 3 and it's a really cool moment, then, that's fine. That's not a big deal. It gives you something to look forward to. Or if, like, a character that's not dead, it's like a main character in the series or whatever, and you go, you get to see Reinhardt in pretty late in the game. It's really cool. Like, that's fine. I have no issues with that. But if it's like a major plot point, so for example, let's go back to Mr. Reinhardt there. I'm pulling that name out of the air, by the way. If they go, Reinhardt saves you from a dragon by blowing its head off, it's freaking amazing. Well, that's a bit annoying then.
Yeah,
but if you just say Reinhardt appears, that's fine.
Yeah. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. But I care a little less about spoilers, but that's because I play slightly different games. Actually, I play very narrative-intensive games. So, no, I take that back. I rescind my previous statement.
My general rule with it, and I'll say this knowing full well that I am a hypocrite because I will frequently break my own rule. Not because I want to, but just...
Acceptance is the first step, Luke.
Yeah, I know. It's just really, it's a hard rule to keep to. But I think that generally speaking, the developer or the publisher or marketer of a video game, the detail that they give in order to get people to want to play the game, like to give them just enough that they understand what sort of game they're getting into and why they should give it a go, I think that is probably the limit. I think that going further than that is probably entering that risky area.
Wow, you are a hypocrite.
Yeah, I am a massive hypocrite. I'm fully aware of that. Fully aware of that.
Ginormous
and
planetoid.
It is really, really hard to stick to because you don't want to... a great example is talking about games on this podcast. You don't want to just stick to the marketing approved beats that are out there for a game, because otherwise you're just regurgitating exactly what is available to everybody. You want to give a unique view on it. You want to give something different.
You don't have to go to the plot for that. You can go to your own reactions to things for that.
That's true. I think you can describe your reaction without giving too much detail away, and you can sort of describe how you have emotionally engaged with the game. But it's hard to do that without context sometimes, and you do need to give a little bit more detail. But I don't know. I think it's just worth acknowledging that anything in that area onwards is a risk. It's not about black and white, right and wrong. It's about varying degrees of risk and what you can do to mitigate that risk. So, but I mean, that being said, some publishers are stupid with the amount of information they'll give out to actually encourage people to play a game anyway. Like, and you know, this isn't just linked to games. I think this is linked to all sorts of media, and movies particularly are
movies
the
are getting
worst
the worst. Yeah.
Batman v Superman.
Well,
I'm pretty sure I know most of the plot.
I'm pretty sure I've seen 45 minutes now of that movie.
The hands down worst example of this in recent history I can think of was Terminator Genesis.
Yes,
Terminator Genesis
I was about to say that.
Yeah, because they literally gave away one of the key twists in the trailer, and I saw it and I was just like, fuck you guys. I don't want to see this movie anymore.
Now?
Yeah.
Yep. I completely agree with you.
At the point where you don't want to see the movie as a result of the trailer, you're done gone goofed.
Yeah.
So,
had they left that as, and we'll mention it, John Connor becomes a biomechanoid nanite thing of doom. Had they left that out of the trailers, that'd have been a really cool plot twist potentially.
Yeah, I agree.
Wouldn't have saved a very average movie, granted, but it would have been a cool moment as opposed to, 3, 2, 1, there it is.
It's just one of those things they did not need to add to the trailer. There was no benefit to it. And, you know, there's been other movies that have done right by everybody by not going into that amount of detail. And I'm really pleased to say that Force Awakens is one of them. I think they did a really good job of not giving away much.
That was by far some of the best trailers of movies in recent times I can actually remember.
Definitely, because they gave just enough to make you want to see the film, but not so much that it ruined any of it for you. And honestly, it's Star Wars. They could literally just show Star Wars on the black, you know, star backdrop with the lettering, and people will see it no matter what. They almost don't need to advertise
That's what they did for Game of Thrones.
Yeah, basically.
The new trailer was just dark screens and voiceover and Game of Thrones.
That's what I love. And I really kind of hope that Deadpool did this recently too, like where the trailer almost can show stuff that doesn't make it into the final cut and be clever with it like that. You know?
Oh, they created spools of extra content for those trailers.
And all the lines were different, that sort of thing.
I will say, though, that...
No spoilers, I will kill you.
Maybe you shouldn't open your mouth.
Just say it. Go ahead.
I think this is a fair comment to make. I feel that Deadpool, by my standard at least, still probably gave a bit too much away in the trailers. So that's my thoughts on it. Yeah, I think they still gave a little bit too much away. Yeah.
But, okay... In defense of that, Deadpool is not the sort of movie that you watch for an in-depth plot.
No, true.
It is just a dumb, fun movie.
But even more
I love the hell out of it for that.
Even more importantly, and this goes to any game that involves humour, I think that humour is often like a one-shot sort of resource. Once you've heard a joke, hearing it again doesn't give the same pleasure at all.
That's true. Yeah. I'll agree with that. It lessens it, yes.
Yeah. So...
Or alternatively... If they do it really cleverly, a la Deadpool, see what I did there, they'll actually use that as the building point for the joke. So one of the good things with that is in when he first sort of reveals his face to his buddy. It's in the trailer. It's not a spoiler. Shut your mouth. Some of the insults that go back and forth, they actually build on that in the movie. So even though you've heard a couple of jokes in there, they then build on top of that, and it adds to the humour rather than detracting it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah. But I think even all that stuff considered, there has to be some sort of statute of limitations on spoilers. Like, how long can you actually go before you can talk about something fully?
Darth Vader is Luke's father.
Yeah, that's a good example.
I will say, I just realised I made
dead.
He was dead the whole time. I will just clarify. I said before that
people.
Oh my God, Ollie, are you done now? You want to do the rest of the spoiler T-shirt, or are you all set?
Yeah. The one.
All right, now we got a new one from the new Star Wars movie. Don't say that one out loud.
Don't you dare.
No, the statute's not expired on that one.
No. Anyway, the podcast that sport it was not a Rooster Teeth podcast. I apologise because I thought surely it wasn't because they're really good with that sort of stuff. It was actually 28 plays later.
Okay, I disagree. Rooster Teeth are terrible with spoilers, but anyway.
Well, they always preface it though. They preface it.
No, they don't. If you watch any of their Let's Plays, they're fucking awful.
Oh, well, we'll get into that in a moment. But no, so it was, they were interviewing Gavin Free on that, and so they had a bit of a conversation. So it was a little bit more relaxed. But the statute of limitations, I think Fallout 4 is a great example. Has the statute of limitations expired on Fallout 4?
I don't think it has.
November 2015, no. I'd say no.
Yeah. I don't think it has. Like, I can guarantee there are people that would disagree and say that yes, it has. But I honestly don't think so. Like, the game hasn't even been out a year yet. And considering how long it takes to actually play through that game and how few people out of those who have bought it will have actually gotten to that point, I would say no.
But also, if it's going
thoroughly spoiled.
Damn. If it's going to give away the entire outcome of something, I would always just check in with the people I'm talking with. I'd be like, oh, have you seen this? Or have you finished playing this? Because, I don't know, you can never be certain that someone hasn't seen something. Like, I've had Usual Suspects and Citizen Kane spoiled through popular culture. I still haven't seen them. And I know
that's your own fault.
Wanted to have seen them.
The statute of limitation is expired. Like,
yeah,
by a lot.
As classics, it's something I would have loved to, watch and appreciate as an adult without it having been spoiled, in my early teens.
Let me give you... I was going to say, I've got a really good example of something that we could argue statute of limitations on, and it's one that I think we could all recognise. Game of Thrones Red Wedding. Do you think the statute has expired on that?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
Interesting.
It's not something I'd ever want to spoil for someone. And
no,
I mean,
Game of Thrones is sacrosanct. Let's just put that out there.
And how good have the fans of the books been?
Exactly, and that's the
my
thing.
God.
So as far as the series goes, in terms of a fan base, the loyalty counts a lot. So if it was a gaming franchise that had a big loyalty, and I thought, Fallout 4, I think, is doing all right at the moment because it has that, it's the whole purpose of the game is to find things out and explore yourself and things like that. And Game of Thrones, they had that whole Quiet in the Realm. They still do have Quiet in the Realm, which is a hashtag that they apply when it goes live in the States or wherever it airs first, which is, calling for all fans to just shut their mouths and leave it out. And the same, I think everyone was fairly well behaved with Star Wars, but it kicked off about 2 weeks after it came out. There was just so many people that had seen it at that point. There was no hope. I
disconnected from social media totally for the few days up until I saw that film. I just didn't want to risk it.
Yeah, I watched a random YouTube video like 2 days ago. Can't even remember what the YouTube video was, but the first comment was Star Wars spoiler.
That's just YouTube comment trolls.
Yeah, people going around the internet like spoiling things. And I think, the thing is, I think when Citizen Kane and movies and things like that used to come out, there was only, 2 movies released a month or something. Or, well, probably not Citizen Kane. It's probably going to be a little bit older
social media was
than that.
less of a thing.
Social media was less of a thing. So I think now there's so much stuff out. There's no way that you can consume it all. And it's kind of like a badge of honor. So when you finish a game, you want to share it with people because, oh my goodness, like you won't believe what the ending of this game was. It was amazing, and you want to share it with people.
Brotherhood of Steel are really cool.
But the chances of people having got to that point with you or at the same time as you, is fairly low. So there's just too much. And I think as well, if it becomes really popular. So The Witness, obviously, is a very popular game. There's an awful lot of people playing it out there. So everyone's super conscious that everyone's in the same boat and you don't want to spoil it too much.
Yeah.
That's actually an interesting segue, talking about The Witness, because I think that there's definitely people out there who take an active decision at various points, knowing full well that something's going to be spoiled for them, to actually go and engage with that spoiler because of some reason in particular.
The draw is strong.
Yeah, exactly. And with a puzzle game, I think that draw obviously is when people get stuck and they find that their enjoyment of the game is lessening because they can't progress. They'll actually hop online. Yeah, they'll look for a puzzle solution or they'll look for a walkthrough. So, solutions and walkthroughs are probably the best example of spoiling games intentionally. So, you're not going to usually stumble across a walkthrough. It's something that you actually have to go out of your way to locate, to sort of get through a game. When would you guys actually use a spoiler like that? When do you think it would be okay for you?
As in a walkthrough?
Yeah, like a walkthrough or a puzzle solution. Because we've played a bunch of puzzle games in the last few months, So do you avoid them totally? Do you engage with them under certain circumstances? What's your rule on when they spoil things?
You go first, Jan.
Well, only if there's a game mechanic that's not working for me, such as key bindings that I can't find information for. Like, not a walkthrough per se, but just something...
Troubleshooting?
Yeah, more that sort of thing. A guide to help me figure out why my character can't do X, but not a solution to something I have to figure out for myself. I don't... Oh, God. It's years and years and years since I've done that. I think the last time I did that, I was in my early teens, and it was for a game I'd hired so that I had to try and finish it, within 3 days or something.
For me personally, and my general rule for this is, and I think it's a fair rule for everyone to apply, is if you are getting frustrated to the point where the game is no longer enjoyable and you've given it multiple attempts, or it's a game thing that you've gone back to with fresh eyes and you still can't figure it, and it's detracting from your enjoyment of the game, then by all means, use a walkthrough. Get past the bit that's annoying you and then continue enjoying the game. Because you play games to have fun. If it's no longer being fun, well, let's get around that problem and move on to the fun bit. Yes, I know it's incredibly satisfying when you're struggling on a problem and you figure it out. I am well aware. But if you are genuinely just stumped and you're digging your heels in, then no, I say that's fine. Go nuts. Enjoy your game. But yeah, don't make it a chore, essentially. A game shouldn't be a chore.
I had a recent instance where I had to make a decision to look at a walkthrough for a particular mission. It was in Metal Gear Solid 5, actually. And the reason why I had to look at the walkthrough is kind of exactly what you're describing. I hit one mission, which is a really, really difficult mission. There was a sort of boss fight involved, and you were actually trying to basically make off with the cargo in the back of a vehicle while not dying to these bosses that you were dealing with. Now, I hit a snag where the actual piece of equipment that I needed to extract this cargo I didn't have. And I thought that I'd done something wrong up until that point of the game by not sort of researching and constructing that piece of equipment. But there was a couple of critical components that I needed to be able to do it that I hadn't found yet. And I could not complete the mission. Like, I kept on, and because of the point that my save game was at, I couldn't sort of, go backwards. And so I was stuck. Like, I actually thought maybe I've actually done something and
You've broken the game.
I've broken the game. I've saved at a point where basically there's no way out. I'm screwed. So I had to hop online and find a walkthrough just to confirm if that was the case or not. And thankfully it wasn't the case. And the solution was ridiculously hard and didn't make things easy for me. But knowing that kind of allowed me to progress further without, ruining it too much for me. But if I hadn't have checked that, then I don't know what I would have done. I think I was at the point where I literally couldn't do anything. So yeah, that's probably a good example of where it's acceptable to jump in and find a spoiler. It didn't ruin any of the story for me, thankfully. It was actually like a mechanical spoiler more than anything else. And I guess that's probably one of the lines for me. Like, I often don't have a problem looking at spoilers or walkthroughs if I'm looking for information about optimizing gameplay as opposed to solving puzzles and finding story elements. Like, another good example is Dragon Age Inquisition. Like, I looked at a couple of guides to optimize a couple of my characters for dealing with some of the dragon boss fights. And that was fine to me. Like, I wasn't, taking an easy way out of, an auto win against those bosses. It was more just sort of helping set me up for it without guaranteeing success. So I didn't have a problem with that personally. Yeah. So what are some things that you guys have actually had spoiled for you that have really left an impression? Can you think of any, like, are there any horror stories or maybe even things that you have accidentally and fully awarely spoiled for other people that you maybe do or don't feel guilty about? What are you thinking?
Here's
in
one
video
I want.
games?
Yeah, in
Or
video
just in
games.
general.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, in video games.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll try and keep it to video games. Yeah.
Well, we are a podcast about video games. That's fair. Trying to think.
Dunno.
Video game wise, no, I don't think I've had anything massively spoiled in a video game.
Yeah, I've had a fair few, but that's because I tend to be quite slow in the completion of games, and every single one of them have never been oh my goodness, did you see when X did this? It's always because I'm on the outside of a conversation or I'll hear a one word or whatever, and quite a few times I've had things spoilt for me where someone will say something and immediately I'm not like, oh no, that game's been spoilt, but it'll be when I reach that point in the game, I'll be like, oh, this is what so-and-so was talking about. I know what's going to happen.
Your
So
recent
that's
Honest Trailers incident seems like a particularly bad one.
Yeah, well, I'm not super sad about it. So I watched, I'm a massive watcher of Let's Plays and YouTube videos, and I live on YouTube, unfortunately. I think I watch it more than Netflix, so I don't know why. Yeah, well, no, not just nerdy things. I also learn things from the YouTubes. Thank you very much.
She learns how to nerd better.
I learned how to nerd so much better. Yeah. And that's how you get all of your news articles. So I watched the Honest Trailers are great. They're done by, now I think they come under the Smosh sort of banner. The guy in it is the same guy from XCOM 2, who's hilarious. And I quite like watching them because I think they're a really funny take and sort of a self-reflection and almost like a review of games. Unfortunately, I watched the Honest Trailer for Life is Strange because Luke had been going on about the game and how great it was, and I'd seen a couple of sort of Let's Plays very early on in the sort of episode 1, so I thought, well, this will give me a good idea of what the game is like, if they see it as favourable as a game or not, and you can tell fairly quickly. Unfortunately, spoilt a very major plot point towards the end of the series, as in episode 5, as in one of the biggest sort of twists in the game. And it is in the Honest Trailer. So as soon as I finished watching, I went, that was awesome. Now I can't play the game.
Yeah. Exactly.
And confirmed with Luke that it was a fairly major spoiler.
It was probably one of the biggest ones, if not the biggest one. So yeah, that was bad.
I also, though, I use Let's Plays and sort of, I have to, quite often I find myself going, look, you're just not going to play this game. You do not have time to run through or do all this, or, you don't want to spend $100 doing this or whatever else. And for me, like Life is Strange, I saw that spoiler, and so that just means that I get added to the list of things that I watch Felicia Day play because that is a pastime of mine. And so if something's spoiled for me, rather than pay for it and play it myself, I do tend to watch people Let's Play it. Like I watched an extensive Let's Play that Achievement Hunter did of what's the name of the game with the butterflies? Ollie.
Life is Strange?
Not Life is Strange. The one that Ollie played.
Dawn.
Until Dawn. Yeah, so I watched most of that. So, and sometimes it's little snippets, and so you're just sort of getting a feel for the game, but there's a lot of games that I've watched rather than played. But yeah, the Fallout 4 was definitely, I'm really, really disappointed at myself because it was like that moment where there was a point where you went, oh, I should have stopped that.
Yeah.
And I just didn't. My curiosity got the better of me, and yeah, I really want to play it, but now it's a theory that I held. I'm not going to say that I was right, but yeah, I think
Life is Strange is a really good example of where this can get difficult because it's extremely hard to talk about that game without spoiling it because the major sort of plot point of the entire game, like the major mechanic even, is a spoiler because it's something that you should find out by accident during the first episode. And I actually had that plus a few other major details spoiled for me by Jamie's brother-in-law, Justin.
Really?
Yeah.
So, what a twit.
You in trouble? At the time, he sort of phrased it in a way that it didn't seem like it was too bad of a spoiler. But when I played the game, I was just like, oh, you dick.
No, if he starts talking, I'm just like, up. No.
Zip it.
Pretty much. I mean,
Zip it.
At the end of the day, it kind of did push me into playing the game where before I may not have prioritized it as highly, but it did kind of wreck a couple of things for me. So
I think episodic games bring a whole new flavor to it because if you are not up to date with, the progress of it, quite often people will review the statute of limitations on episode 1 of some of these games if it's a year since it was first released. Before you finish, if you're waiting to play it until they're all released, then you might have that spoiled for you before you even do episode 1.
Well, actually, it's an interesting one to bring up. Like, how much of a spoiler is it when you're dealing with a game where there are a lot of different options throughout the game that can change how the story unfolds? I mean, Mass Effect is a good example of this because there's a lot of different options in Mass Effect, like in the entire trilogy, which changes things in the main story, like even down to which characters survive and which ones don't. And some characters you don't even encounter if you don't do certain things. So when you talk to someone about how you experience the story, the way someone else experiences the story could be significantly different to the point that you talking about yours doesn't actually spoil it for them. So
it makes it all the more tempting to talk about it, though, because you want to know what those differences were.
Yeah.
Like, I chose this. What did you choose? And for me, like, Firewatch is that. I want to talk to you guys about what you chose, but I don't want to spoil it for Jamie.
Yeah, that's fair.
Thank you.
One of my favourite games of all time was actually spoiled. I'm sorry to say. So I you guys know how much I love Super Metroid, like the original Super Metroid game. Now I'm gonna talk about this one because I think that given how old the game is, the statute of limitations is well and truly passed.
I have one of these stories too.
Yeah.
Continue.
Oh no!
All right, so the final boss in the original Metroid game is a alien pirate leader creature called Mother Brain. Okay, which is basically just a giant alien brain in a jar that psychically commands all of the space pirates that you're fighting against. Now, in the original Metroid, it literally is just a giant brain in a jar. That's it. It just sort of sits there, you shoot at it. There's a whole bunch of stuff in the room that's defending it, but it itself is kind of just a passive entity. In Super Metroid, you actually come up to the last boss, and it's Mother Brain again, and you're just like, oh, holy crap, Mother Brain's back. And a very, very similar room to the original Metroid. Like, all of the same stuff is set up there. There's all the same traps around the room and, turrets shooting at you and that sort of stuff. You bust open the glass case, you shoot down Mother Brain, it explodes, it lands on the ground, and you think, is that the final boss? That was way easy. Now, it's not, because it basically resurrects and turns into this giant sort of, biomechanical dinosaur type thing that attacks you on a whole new level, and it's really freaking cool when it happens. And it's totally unexpected. However, it wasn't totally unexpected for me because somebody told me it was going to happen before it did. And that really kind of ruined that for me. Like, unbelievably cool boss fight for its time. Like, it was, really, really memorable. And I think that if I hadn't have been told it was going to happen, it would have just blown me away completely. But it was kind of ruined for me. It didn't stop it from being one of my favorite games of all time, but I just can't. Yeah, I was furious at the time. I was absolutely furious. So
I had something similar. So the first Final Fantasy I played was Final Fantasy VIII.
Yep.
And one of my sister's friends was like, "Oh, you'll love Final Fantasy VII." And one day he came over, and spoilers for anyone who may think they'll play Final Fantasy VII, don't listen. He came over with his discs and his memory card, and he loaded Final Fantasy VII at that point where you walk in to see Sephiroth and Aerith, and it's like, yep, played out that whole scene, just right there, bam.
Oh, no.
Biggest moment.
Yep.
I hadn't picked the game up.
That is unfortunate.
And I was like, oh, damn it. So, I did end up playing the game and I enjoyed it, but holy crap, would that have been fantastic.
Sephiroth is a cool guy.
To lose my shit to. Without knowing. So, because I didn't know the characters when he came to show me.
Yep.
It was just, okay, there are these people. I didn't know the history. I didn't know. Yeah, so that was a big deal.
I don't know about you guys, but my strategy I've found to try and avoid spoilers as much as possible is just to play games as quickly as you freaking can when they come out. And it's the same for movies and TV shows and everything in general. Like, I'll just voraciously consume everything I possibly can as fast as I possibly can because I don't want it to be wrecked for me by some inconsiderate jerk out there.
It is. I mean, for me, making a murderer is something that's come up this past week and a half, I think it is. I mean, my best friend and I love that type of stuff. Like, we listen to Serial and super excited about that and all of these kind of mysteries and things, and Game of Thrones, things that we can sort of theorize about and come up with a solution yourself. And so, she sent me a message, I think it was a week and a half ago, saying this Making a Murderer thing is about to kick off in a month in real life. So if you're going to watch it now. And so I just had to consume the whole thing because I knew that if it started popping up in the news, that it was going to start bothering me that I hadn't seen it myself first or understood, taken the journey with everybody else as you do with all of the other ones. But it's contributing to anxieties within people, like that feeling that you have to go and see it ASAP, and if you don't, someone's going to spoil it for you, and that's the worst thing ever. You don't need more stress in your life, really.
Yeah. It's just that fear of missing out. It's that...
FOMO.
Yeah, the FOMO. Yeah. So, and it's not just about missing out in terms of being late to the party. It's about the party, having actually taken place without you, and then, all you're left with is a stale piece of fairy bread and a spilled drink.
Yeah. Well, key for me, the one that always sticks in my mind is not a game spoiler. I walked into my office at the time, and it was just before Dark Knight came out, or just as Dark Knight had come out. And I think it was the day after it was released. So this wasn't, definitely no statute of limitations. I was seeing it that evening. I walked in and I heard the words, this is a spoiler, by the way, if you haven't seen Dark Knight.
Oh, no.
I walked in and I heard the words Batman, something, 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 Two-Face. And I thought, I'm like, oh, no, Batman, don't talk about it. I'm seeing tonight, like, no spoilers, no spoilers. And they thought that they were very clever and went, oh, no, it's not a spoiler. We're just talking about Batman in general. Of course, that night I go to the cinema, and being a little bit of a nerd in terms of the backstory anyway, as soon as I saw him flip that goddamn coin, I was like, God damn it. Because it's in none of the trailers. It was like a big sort of reveal.
Oh, but if you know who Harvey Dent is.
Yeah, you
the
do.
moment they said, my name's Harvey Dent,
it's Harvey
I went,
Dent, yeah.
Okay, I see how it's going to go.
Yeah, but if that had it was just one of those things I just thought, damn it, like one of those like small pieces of information that seems inconsequential, but then as soon as you sort of play it or you're part of it, then it's all over. Then it's done. And then you can't get that back. There's no experiencing that for the first time again.
The Batman video games definitely have some heavy spoilers in them too. So if they're ones that you're planning on playing, I would advise staying away from online content on them. So, yeah.
Interesting.
There are some things that will screw your stories up completely. Yeah.
One thing I have to admit that the online community is doing a bit better now is having dedicated spoiler zones and spoiler-free zones on forums and whatnot.
Yeah, they'll have like that spoiler thing you can cover it up.
Good.
Well, spoiler-free zones should be the default, really, but they're not.
No, it's usually the inverse.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly right.
Which is a shame, but yeah. Cool. Any other stories before we wrap this one up?
I have one gold one, and again, it's a movie. It's not a video game. I used to work. My very first job was at Hoyt Cinemas in Chatswood in Sydney, and I had the pleasure of one of the first times that I was sort of checking tickets was on the movie The Sixth Sense, and it was the midnight screening. Went in. Because, it was touted as this huge movie and very controversial and you're never going to believe it and everything. So the midnight session went in, and this was so popular that we managed to sell a whole second session after the midnight session. So I think it was 2 or 2:30 a.m. So this was sort of a big deal at the time. I was still quite young when I was working there, but I got to do it, all excited. And I hadn't seen the movie either, but you have to walk up and down. So I had a fair few movies spoiled for me anyway. But we let the midnight showing out, and sort of they were exiting on the left, and on the right, lined up against the wall, was the 2 a.m. showing. And no word of a lie, the very first couple that came out were like a mother and a daughter or friends or something, and very, very loudly she went, "So he was dead the whole time?" And that was going to be one of those moments where at the time maybe didn't seem like much of a spoiler. I know that the people at the beginning of the queues were like, oh, come on, like, are you kidding me? But if you just heard that and not really thought about it in detail, it was going to become very apparent to you very quickly. And that was only the second screening in Australia.
Oh dear.
There you go.
Yep.
I had something very similar with Force Awakens. As my screening was walking out, a couple of people behind me were going about, I can't believe X. I'm not going to say it because
because holding my breath.
And I watched people that were walking in for the next session just go, motherfuckers.
Really?
Yeah.
That's rude.
That's pretty
and
bad.
I was just like, wow, you are just douchebags.
That's right up there with, spilling on the identity of Kaiser Soze.
And let me be clear. They're not like deliberately going into their face like, oh, this happens. They were like super excited and talking about it, but they were really excited, super talky nerds. So they were yelling it because that's what.
Because they don't have inside voices. It was a big deal. Like movie spoilers. I mean, these days it's hard enough for them to create movies with spoilers that people are like, yes, that was awesome, and not like, oh, I saw that coming.
But see, that's the thing. That's what I have to give Star Wars so much credit for. You have to think with their trailers, what they released in the actual trailers, and then how analyzed they were. Like, they were taken to pieces, those trailers, by fans. Like, under the microscope. And there was still plenty of stuff left over.
So another good one to be aware of is news sites who like to spoil things in their headlines. Assholes. I'm talking to you, GameSpot, with your Walking Dead coverage this week, dickheads.
Oh, man.
Oh, really? Let's have a
Yeah,
look.
pretty bad. Yeah. So just be aware of that kind of thing. I think if you look around anywhere online, there's always going to be places that you might not expect that are going to give you information that you don't really want. So just be very careful as you step forward. And I think full video trailers especially are going to show you a lot of stuff. News articles that go into any length of detail are going to tell you a bunch of stuff. Forums, for God's sake, stay away from forums. They're just cesspits of spoiler material if you are not extremely careful. So
Effectively, if you're sensitive to spoilers, just be like Jam. Just remove yourself from all of conversations and know that you are just going to enjoy it for you and you don't need to share it with the world.
Pretty much. Or have the
like
short-term memory of, a goldfish and then you're pretty much sorted.
Oh,
helps
wow,
too.
Luke. I just found that Walking Dead article you were
I
talking
know, right?
about. That's a bit
Oh my
dickish.
God.
Just get implicit consent when discussing spoilers. Not tacit, implicit.
Yeah.
People say, yes,
people who spoil
I am willing
things
for you
are
to
the
say
worst.
anything you wish about this entertainment product.
Yeah.
Blah.
Don't be a dick.
Arr.
Yeah.
Yeah, people who spoil things are just the worst. And if you do it on purpose and you're the spoiler, you are a horrible person.
You are. Yeah.
Because you're only doing it for your own entertainment
The
and
worst.
it makes everyone else miserable. Just the worst.
Cool. All right. Well, let's not spoil the rest of our evenings by dwelling on this for too long.
Hey-o.
There it is.
I did. Yeah. I usually spoil you guys' evenings by ending on notes like that.
Yeah, each and every Wednesday.
Yeah.
And some days in between.
Nice. Well, anyway, give us your
Most days.
thoughts on spoilers and whether anyone has spoiled anything in particular, any particular grievances you may have. Sending an email into mail@partyloaded.com and tell us your story. You can also hit us up at Partyloaded Show on Twitter, facebook.com/partyloaded, and jump onto our Steam group if you want to hop in and play some PC games as well. You can just search for it, search for Partyloaded on Steam. But yeah, that's it. Let's wrap this one up. Go hop off and watch some stuff that hopefully we'll be experiencing for the very first time in its complete form.
Time to buy some IKEA furniture.
I mean, like Portal 2, Luke. Portal 2 co-op, which you're going to play with me, totally.
We may put that on the to-do list for this week. Yeah.
Yes!
And unfortunately, I have had
It's
the
not
ending of
going to
Portal 2
happen.
spoil for me already, so yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I'll give you a hint, Luke.
Co-op's just puzzles anyway.
Yes.
All right, everyone. Until next week. See ya.
See ya.
Ta-ra.
The Party Loaded podcast is a Channel Endgame production. For this and more great gaming content, bookmark channelendgame.com.